What's poppin', y'all? We back with the third episode of Where Are They Now? When it comes to the XXL list, we go through each year and see how the rappers have held up over time and where they are today. We also get to see the evolution of XXL throughout the years and how things have changed with how accurate they are in predicting the future stars or just the shelf life of rappers in general. As usual, all the previous episodes will be linked in the description. If you like analysis videos on hip hop and rap, then subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. I upload at minimum twice a week on Mondays and Wednesdays. And also follow me on Instagram. I do my first reaction album reviews on there. The 2010 XXL Freshman List consisted of J. Cole, Pill, Nipsey Hussle, Freddie Gibbs, Big Sean, Wiz Khalifa, OJ the Juice Man, JRock, Fashawn, and Donis. Another list in which everyone who listens to hip hop in 2019, regardless of when they started listening, can recognize at least a handful of the names on here. The first is J. Cole, and XXL didn't really catch him crazy early. In 2009, J. Cole had already released his second and best mixtape, The Warm Up, was featured on Jay-Z's The Blueprint 3 on the track A Star Is Born, and also featured on Wale's album, Attention Deficit, and mixtape, Back to the Feature, who was in the freshman class preceding him, as well as being featured on the song Gladiators by B.O.B., another rapper from the class a year before him. All of this hype got J. Cole featured as one of the rappers on XXL's freshman list, and having a breakout year like that is not easy. Since then, J. Cole's only continued to get bigger. The same year he made the list, he went on college tour, and later released his third mixtape, Friday Night Lights, with huge songs like In the Morning featuring Drake, and many fans and critics consider it his best mixtape, getting really good reviews. Fast forward to 2019, 9 whole years later, and J. Cole is bigger than ever and one of the big three when it comes to hip-hop artists. Every year he's continuously gotten bigger commercially, still doing most of, if not all of the production on his albums. He's steered away from features for the most part, but looking back, this was a huge pick for XXL. Some might say it was an obvious pick because he was co-signed by Jay-Z, but look at Designer, who was co-signed by Kanye West, and even had a #1 song on Billboard's Hot 100. He was gone within a calendar year. The second is Pill, out of Atlanta, Georgia, and I don't ever remember listening to a single song by this rapper or him ever being poppin'. It seems like he was one of those sleeper picks that XXL hopes would blow up with the publicity from making it onto the XXL Freshman List. His first mixtape, 4180 The Prescription, got some traction and even got a cosign from hometown hero Andre 3000. He was featured in a XXL article before he ever made the list, and a handful of other magazines were writing about him like The Source, and even being featured on 2 tracks from Killer Mike's Underground Atlanta compilation. Saying he hasn't done much since then is an overstatement. He was briefly signed to MMG after announcing he was leaving the label in 2012 and disappearing without dropping a single song for 6 years. In 2018, he released the song Back Right, produced by 808 Mafia, but nobody even knows who this man is anymore. So this was clearly a huge flop when it came to picking someone for this list. Number 3 is Nipsey Hussle, who was dropping mixtapes throughout the 2000s like Slauson Boy Volume 1 and Bullets Ain't Got No Name Volume 1, 2, and 3, eventually getting signed to Epic Records. He would work with Drake on the song Killer, and from all the hometown hype he built up, XXL put him on their freshman list. He was scheduled to release his debut album that year, 2010, but it was postponed after he was released from Epic Records, and he made his own label, All Money In. In December of 2010, he would release the first mixtape on his label, The Marathon, and then the year after, following it up with The Marathon Continues. And since 2012, he had been teasing the final release of that series, Victory Lap, which was originally set to release in 2013. One of the things that got Nipsey Hussle a lot of attention was his release of the mixtape Crenshaw, in which he released 1,000 hard copies that he would sell for $100 each, and he sold all of them that same day. 2018 was definitely Nipsey Hussle's biggest year with the partnership deal he signed with Atlantic Records for his label All Money In, and finally releasing his debut album Victory Lap that got so many positive reviews from fans and even those who barely ever listened to him. Some people were saying it was contender for Album of the Year. This was a pick that took time to really blow up, but 9 years after being chosen, and Nipsey Hussle is at his peak and doesn't show any sign of slowing down anytime soon. Number 4 is Freddie Gibbs, or Gangsta Gibbs, out of Gary, Indiana. Gibbs was originally signed to Interscope Records back in 2006, but wasn't even allowed to release his debut album when executives changed and he would end up being dropped from the label. But in 2009, he would release 2 projects for free online, The Miseducation of Freddie Gibbs, and Midwest Gangsta Box Frame Cadillac Music, inspired by both the Lauryn Hill and Outkast albums. These projects had some original songs with beats never heard before, and some that were remixes of more popular songs. This underground buzz got him recognized and placed on the XXL Freshman List for 2010, and signing to Young Jeezy's Corporate Thugs Entertainment label, where he would release more mixtapes. Cold Day in Hell, and one of his most favored mixtapes to date, Babyface Killer. But at the end of 2012, Gibbs would part ways amicably and start his own label, Evil Seeds Grow Naturally, or ESGN, where he would continue to release his own music up until this day. His debut album, named after the label, released in 2013, and the year later, in 2014, he would release his second album, and most critically acclaimed and successful being Pinata with Madlib. In 2015, he would also follow up with his second best album, titled Shadow of a Doubt. He would go through a rough patch from 2015 to the end of 2016 with the terrible legal situation he had in Europe that I did a whole video on it. I suggest you watch. It's in the description as well. But he bounced back and released his album You Only Live Twice in 2017, rather short album, and in 2018 dropped two, one titled Freddie and a collab album with Currency and The Alchemist called Fetty. That was a great project. Freddie Gibbs still has a strong fan base, and he's bigger now than he was back then. He's still independent, so nowhere near mainstream, but most people are very hyped for the follow-up to Pinata, Bandana, that is supposed to release sometime soon. They were teasing 2018 and now 2019, but nobody knows for sure yet. Halfway through is Big Sean. He was signed to Good Music and released his first installment in the Finally Famous series back in 2007, getting some local buzz around the city of Detroit and online with a single that would do some numbers over time titled Get You Some. He would release the follow-up to that, Finally Famous Volume 2, You Know Big Sean, with a whole 30 tracks that really got Big Sean noticed among other mixtape rappers. This is likely what got him featured on XXL's Freshman List for 2010, and following that he would release Finally Famous Volume 3 that blew him up more, all culminating to the release of his debut album, Finally Famous, in 2011, selling 87,000 copies first week, but eventually going platinum with huge songs like My Last, Marvin Gaye and Chardonnay, and Ass. It was full of all-star features, and the fans received it very well. Big Sean would continue to be featured on songs with Kanye, and people were beginning to hype him up as the next rapper to take over. He would get his best-selling and first #1 album with Dark Sky Paradise in 2015, selling 139,000 first week, and the hit song I Don't F With You peaking at number 11 on the Hot 100. Big Sean today is as big as he's ever been. He's done the whole celebrity thing, dating Ariana Grande, but while he's still not considered by most as one of the top 3 in the rap game right now, he's nowhere near falling off, and has had a long and successful career over the years, so XXL did right on this pick. Number 6 is Wiz Khalifa, and he was a rapper that had already been signed for over 5 years before he was put on this list, but wasn't anywhere near mainstream. He had dropped an album, Show and Prove, in 2006, but it didn't get much attention, but Wiz continuously released mixtapes. Grow Season and Prince of the City 2 in 2007, Star Power in 2008, Flight School, How Fly with Currency, and Burn After Rolling in 2009 is what really got him noticed with all that output and rapping over some of the hottest songs at the time. This would get him on the XXL Freshman List and named Rookie of the Year by Source Magazine. But Wiz was just heating up. He would release a series of mixtapes that everyone who's listened to him would consider his best work. Cushion Orange Juice, Cabin Fever, and Taylor Alderdice. And his first album on a major label when he signed to Atlantic Records, Rolling Paper, that has since gone 2 times platinum. His debut single for Atlantic was Black and Yellow that blew up, making it to #1 and brought Wiz Khalifa into the mainstream light. That song was unavoidable in 2011. From there, he hasn't looked back. He's had his solid fan base and doing shows all year, pretty much every year. Even had one of the biggest songs in history with the song See You Again for the Furious 7 soundtrack. In 2019, some might say Wiz Khalifa may not be as relevant and talked about as he was in 2012 or 2015, but he hasn't gone anywhere and is still having a highly successful career. Number 7, OJ the Juice Man out of Atlanta, Georgia. And if you've heard of Gucci Mane, you've definitely heard of this man. He formed his own label, 32 Entertainment, in 2007 and would release a ton of mixtapes. 5 total mixtapes in 2008, and 4 in 2009. The Other Side of the Trap, Alaska and Atlanta, 6 Rings, and Orange. It was hard keeping him off your radar, and when he performed a show the same week he got shot 8 times, that news spread like wildfire across the internet. OJ the Juice Man and Gucci Mane were both equally good picks for the 2010 freshman list, but XXL probably chose Juice Man because he was a bit hotter at the time. Juice Man's output wouldn't slow down, and he would continue dropping mixtapes every year up until even 2018. But his hype is nowhere near where it was when this freshman list dropped. Sure, he was important in discovering certain rappers today out of Atlanta like the Migos, but Gucci Mane really overtook the whole lane that Juice Man was in and dominated it even better. So XXL missed out on this one, unless Gucci somehow declined. But yeah, Juice Man definitely fell off. The only people who will say otherwise are his fans, which there probably aren't many diehard ones left, who have likely moved on to any other of the 500 trap rappers in Atlanta right now. Number 8, Fashawn. And I know a lot of y'all are probably like, who? Right now? But if you watched the previous video, you'd know they had Blue on this list. And in this year, they chose Fashawn, who was another rapper who released an album with the producer Exile. This one titled Boy Meets World in 2009. The critics and blogs loved this album so much, and it's what got him onto the list. Fashawn would be doing a ton of touring, and eventually signing to Nas' record label Mass Appeal in 2014. His second album, The Ecology, wouldn't release until 2015, 6 whole years later, and it didn't sell well compared to mainstream rappers or even close to how much his peers on the 2010 freshman list were doing. But it did have one song, Something to Believe In, that has been put into a couple of very popular sports video games. Since then, he hasn't released a project, and from a quality perspective, I don't know if we can call this a bad pick, because at the time he was a really good rapper. I can't speak on now because I haven't listened to his music since 2010. But we have to be fair here. Commercially, this was not a good pick, and who the hell signs to Nas' record label? I haven't heard of a single rapper on there that's doing well. Number 9 is Donis, another Atlanta rapper. He got poppin' after his first mixtape, Diary of an Atlanta Brave, presented by the clothing brand 10 Deep, same thing they did with Kid Cudi and what Mishka was doing with the rap group Das Racist. This tape got him on the list and even helped him sign his label deal to Atlantic Records, releasing 2 mixtapes in 2010, Fashionably Late and Southern Lights. He would quickly go nowhere though, considering he hadn't released a single mixtape or album since 2011. A lot of people thought he was going to blow up and be the next big thing from his single Gone, but nope. A flop of a pick. I don't even think he makes music anymore, so to say he just fell off would be a compliment. He vanished off the face of the rap game, if not the earth. And last is a rapper that's actually still around and thriving, and that's JRock. JRock was signed to TDE and dropping mixtapes and going on tour, and in 2008, when he released the single All My Life featuring will.i.am and Lil Wayne, it would blow up in the rap sphere, but never really commercially. However, it did secure him a spot on the XXL Freshman List in 2010. He would continue to release mixtapes online after this, like From Hood Tales to the cover of XXL, and Black Friday the same year he made the cover. He would release his debut album, Follow Me Home, in 2011, but the next couple of years he would take a backseat to the success of his close friend and label mate Kendrick Lamar. It wasn't until 2015 that his second album, 90059, released, and while it only sold 18,000 first week, it got great reviews from critics and the fans. JRock would follow up in 2018 with his third album, Redemption, selling 31,000 first week and overwhelming positive support from the listeners, with many calling it his best album yet. JRock has never been the rapper with all the mainstream success and sales, but he's consistently grown from the moment he's been on the freshman list and is still in a great position in his career 9 years later, if not the best position he's ever been in. It seems like since 90059 in 2015 is when JRock really started getting the credit he deserved and not being overshadowed by Kendrick Lamar or even Schoolboy Q. This was a solid pick, a rapper who's had a long and successful career, not slowing down anytime soon, and not falling off quality-wise. And that's all 10 for the 2010 issue of XXL's Freshman List. I think this one was more accurate than the previous one. Like I've said, the links to the previous ones will be in the description. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. You can also catch me live on Twitch on the weekends. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can follow along with the series. Thank you for watching. Peace.